is almost here in Paris today. The sun is shining and it is the perfect day to make the private visit of one very interesting art gallery. The museums, unfortunately, are still closed due to the pandemic situation, but we have a chance today to visit and to discover the collection of Jacqueline Marval, which is presented by the committee Jacqueline Marval. Follow me.
Hi, my name is Camille and I run the Comité Jacqueline Marval. Welcome backstage FCA to our space.
I wanted to ask you the first question because I know that Jacqueline Marval is not her real name.
Her real name is Marie-Joséphine Vallet. So if you check the beginning of Marie and the beginning of Vallet, then you have the Marval. It was just like a fashion name back then, so she just chose Jacqueline like this.
She is not only the brilliant painter, but also a wonderful woman, made self-woman, especially for the beginning of the 20th century. Who was at the beginning of this collection?
Well, my father is at the beginning of this collection. So he discovered Jacqueline Marval many years ago. Back then he used to have a gallery at the Louvre des Antiquaires, and he would buy her paintings but to sell them. And at some point he learned way more about her, and his passion really began like this for her. So he started buying them but to create this very big collection. And the very first one that he kept for himself was this one. So here we have about 70 oils on canvases. We also have more than 40 pieces on paper, and we have all the archives. So we have, I don't know, maybe more than like 100 pieces, and then we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of archives, which is press or old photos, you know, or letters even.
I know that this is one of your favorite paintings.
I really like this painting because you can see that you can feel the strength of the character, you know. So this is one Audacious, it's called L'étrange femme, and I love the colors of these paintings. You know, like Jacqueline Marval, she was described as one of the fauvistes by Louis Vaucel. And on this you can really see it, the way like she applies the color. It's a very colorful and vibrant painting, which I love. Jacqueline Marval, the beginning of her life was quite classic, you know. Her parents were teachers in Grenoble and she was studying to become one. She was working as well, she was doing embroideries. But she was just working a little bit, you know, because she got married when she was 18 and then she had a baby, and the baby unfortunately died at the age of 6 months old, which was quite traumatic for her, as we can imagine. And then she learned that she could not have other babies. So she just, after a while, she just decided to leave everything behind. So she left her family, her husband, everything she ever knew, and she moved to Paris to start painting as a career. Paint on her bedsheet because she didn't have enough money to buy the canvases, but she would paint on her bedsheet because for her it was more important to her life to be able to paint than to sleep in sheets, you know. Mm-hmm.
And especially we can see that women have their particular place in her paintings.
Yes, I mean, it's very important for her. I think as a painter, you tend to paint what you know, and so you tend to represent what you know as well. And it's actually a criticism towards the role that was expected for women by society back then. So it's a way of saying we deserve better to just wait in gardens and be put in, you know, salon and not do anything.
second picture I can see in your gallery where the woman is naked. It was rather, I can say, significant for the time. And there is some particular legend about this one especially.
Yes, well, this one is very important because this one is from 1900 and it was exhibited at the Salon des Indépendants in 1901. And this one is very important because, as you can see, this is an odalisque, so basically a prostitute, right? So it's shocking for the time to even paint something like this. It's even more shocking because she's a woman artist who painted this, and it's even more shocking that if you look at the face of the woman closely, you can actually see that this is a portrait of Jacqueline Marval, so it's a portrait of herself. It's very strong to have this autoportrait, a nude autoportrait, so early.
She was one of the most powerful women painters from that period, and her name is figured on the list with Matisse and with some others. I know that you have some archive pieces. Maybe you can show us.
Yes, with pleasure. So basically she was always with Marquet and Matisse and all of them, because when she didn't grow up in Paris. So when she arrived in Paris, she met with all of them and she started painting, and they were all going to school. They were all going to l'Atelier Gustave Moreau to learn how to paint, and she was with Flandrin. They were together for about 30 years, and she became friends with that group of people, of artists, and they were all influencing each other, you know, and she became as famous as they did. But you know why? Because this painting, with many other ones that she exhibited in 1901, she exhibited them at the Salon des Indépendants. The famous dealer, he bought all of her pieces, and he then started buying and selling her works, which, you know, like put her on the front of the scene.
And to explain the art and the inspiration of any artist, I know that there is a very big research work behind, and here we are with all the archive pictures.
This is a very small portion of all the archives we gathered. Well, here, for example, you have the catalogue of this exhibition she did at the Galerie Druet, which you can see the pictures behind you. And so this exhibition was Jacqueline Marval solo show, basically. And you have the whole catalogue, so this is the original. This is Les Odalisques, it's now at the Musée de Grenoble, and it's Jacqueline Marval's masterpiece. So you see on those five prostitutes, basically, from 1902, 1903, that if you look at them closely, you can see it's her that she painted again 5 times as a prostitute.
I don't dare to touch because it's so fragile, and these are really very archive pieces which keep not only the story but also a lot of secrets.
Well, this one, for example, is very important. This was the invitation and the catalogue of the exhibition that took place at the Galerie Bertheveil in 1902. This one is the only catalogue we have. This is the original. And so on this one you'll see, so it's this exhibition that I told you about like this exhibition at the female gallerist Bertheveil, and it's the first time that they were exhibited together in a gallery.
And I want to pay you attention, it's 1902, can you imagine?
Yes. And so you have a little text about the exhibition. And then you have like the artist and all the paintings they're showing. So you have Flandrin, you have Houdlikov, and then you find Marquet, Marval, which they called Madame Jacques here, and then Matisse and Petit Jean. And in catalogs they were showing always together, and since their names are very close, they're always sticking together.
But it's really a very strange situation because there are a lot of parallels which go together between Marval and Matisse from their youth to their painting life. But I haven't heard a lot about Jacqueline. In spite, we have heard a lot about Matisse. What's the reason up to you?
Well, she died very early. She died in 1932, and she was a female artist, so maybe some of the other artists just wanted to, you know, put her on the side a little bit. I don't know. And also, well, she didn't have any kids and no one took care of her legacy afterwards, after she passed. So I think that's why people forgot about her, because her pieces were spread over the world and no one took care of, letting people know about her. And then obviously war happened, which didn't help.
For me, she was a bit like a revolutionary in the style and her behavior, as I told before. And there were some interesting stories in her life, like, for example, the story of the funerals, where she came like completely audacious. What was it? What was the story?
So it's a story from the funeral of Eugène Drouet, so this gallerist. And when he died in 1916, she arrived at his funerals. She was wearing at that time like this very big red hair, like crazy style. And Félix Fénéon said actually that she could have worn her hair in a sign of mourning, and not have them like crazy. So Félix Fénéon was shocked by Marval that day. And yeah, she was wearing those crazy clothes all the time. She was half naked sometimes. She would do these crazy things because I think she wanted to be remarked as well, and it was a way to show her personality.
She was rather famous if she had comments like this.
Exactly. So she was very famous. So they asked her to do this for this year in 1923. They asked her to do the poster of the show that was all around Paris, which is this one. And then she also did the cover of the catalog with all the pieces. She also did the invitation cards for this event. So she was quite famous, like 10 years before this, she's asked to decorate the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, which is a very big deal. And 10 years later, they asked her to do all of these things for the Salon d'Automne. This one I really like. It's called La Danseuse de Notre-Dame. So on many paintings of Jacqueline Marval, you can see Notre-Dame. And here you can see it at the top right of the painting. And you see Notre-Dame a lot because she was living on the 19 Quai Saint-Michel, which was an address that she would share with Flandrin, Marquet, Matisse, and maybe many other artists. And so on this one, you have Notre-Dame and you have this woman. And for a very long time, I thought she was wearing, a big puffy skirt, which actually, when you look closely at her hands, you can see that her hands are moving fast and she's actually holding like majorette ribbons. And the fact that she's moving and dancing so fast and so vividly makes this impression of a skirt.
And it is very interesting because Notre Dame every time appears, but just like a small detail, like a shadow, but it's always present.
I think she wanted to put the main focus on the dancer, but she wanted to show the importance of Paris and Notre Dame as well for this one. And this one is from 1921, and we found an article from a newspaper from the same year where the journalist asked Jacqueline Marval which one of all of her canvases was her favorite one. And with her strong character, she replied something like, well, this is really embarrassing, but okay, if I had to choose one, it would be La Danseuse de Notre-Dame.
I feel myself very privileged and I wanted to thank you and to thank your father for welcoming us here at this place because we can see all the pictures of Jacqueline Marval in the atmosphere. So you lived with this from your childhood and now we are here really at your private place.
Yes, exactly. Well, welcome, first of all. And yeah, I really grew up surrounded by her works. But as a kid, I didn't know her story and her life and who she was as a woman that well, obviously. But learning about her, I feel even luckier that I get to live with those paintings of hers.
Et nous sommes ici maintenant avec un homme par qui tout a commencé. C'est une histoire d'amour entre lui et Jacqueline Marval depuis une quarantaine d'années, on va dire.
Oui, à peu près, en effet. Oui, ça fait au moins depuis un peu plus de 40 ans que je collectionne ses œuvres. Et l'ayant découverte et ayant trouvé l'intérêt de sa position dans l'histoire de l'art dès la fin du 19e siècle et au tournant du 20e siècle.
Et comment cette passion était-il née? C'était un coup de foudre du premier regard?
Non. Je suis marchande de peinture, de tableaux impressionnistes et modernes. Et à travers toutes les affaires que j'ai pu traiter, mais il y a une quarantaine d'années, quand j'ai acheté des tableaux de Marval, ce n'était pas connu, c'était même devenu une artiste régionale du côté de Grenoble, d'où elle est originaire, alors qu'elle n'a jamais exposé de son vivant. Bref, donc je me suis intéressé à sa peinture et j'ai vite compris l'intérêt très profond qu'elle avait. Et je me suis dit que c'était mon devoir de la réhabiliter.
En tout cas, on a parcouru la collection dans la galerie en bas et c'est un magnifique aboutissement, on va dire.
Oui,
merci à vous de nous présenter cette femme parce que moi, j'ai ignoré.
Oui, en effet, en partie, il y a ici beaucoup d'œuvres qui ont un grand intérêt par rapport à tout ce qu'elle a pu concevoir, mais il en existe beaucoup d'autres dans les musées, surtout français, mais également à l'étranger, et dans des collections privées. C'est un peu le but de notre espace, c'est de montrer un ensemble de tableaux et de promouvoir un peu son œuvre dans le but de créer des expositions internationales ou en France pour montrer toute son œuvre, quoi. Voilà.
Et je sais qu'il y a un voyage de certaines pièces qui est prévu dans pas longtemps pour la Russie.
Oui, dans un endroit prestigieux et historique. Et en effet, on est très content de pouvoir prêter quelques tableaux pour expliquer un peu mieux l'histoire, car elle était très contemporaine de Matisse, qui dans ce musée Pouchkine a une place essentielle. Donc, il était important qu'elle rejoigne son ami de toujours.
Le tableau est un peu atypique, on va dire, parce qu'on voit des animaux dessus. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous décrypter?
Alors, ce tableau est intéressant parce qu'il montre que Jacqueline Marval s'intéressait, en plus de s'intéresser à la peinture des femmes et choses comme ça, elle s'intéressait à beaucoup d'autres choses, dont les œuvres de La Fontaine. Et là, vous avez l'illustration d'une fable de La Fontaine qui s'appelle Les deux chèvres.
Sachez que si vous êtes amoureux de Jacqueline Marval comme nous le sommes, moi aussi à partir d'aujourd'hui, vous pouvez venir et découvrir le comité de Jacqueline Marval qui est situé au centre de Paris. Pour l'instant, ça se fait sur le visite privée, mais espérons que ça va faire beaucoup d'expositions ouvertes au grand public. Et suivez surtout comité Jacqueline Marval, je vous laisse le lien dans notre reportage sur leur page Instagram.